Welcome to That's Rad, Life, Love, and Wedding Planning in the Pacific Northwest, where our goal is to educate and elevate. I'm Radhika, planner and owner of Radications, and today I'm joined by someone some of you already know, but for those who don't, Rob, my husband slash assistant slash I don't know, any other titles to add in there, is back for a special guest appearance.
Well, you usually call me your spatial engineer or space planner, whatever the heck you want to call it. Affectionately, you call me the muscle,
Yes.
which is somewhat funny because I'm not a very big guy.
Well, I mean, preconceived notions.
Yeah.
And we're sitting in our living room today. Hopefully, it is quiet enough. There is a lot of construction going on out there, but I think we will be able to make this work.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
usually pretty quiet when we close the windows and have the place to ourselves. We don't have our toddler running around
Yes,
screaming at us.
that's true. One thing that I also want to point out is different is that this year we don't have our cat, Mary Jane, MJ, around because, well, she passed away earlier this year. And thank you all for your well wishes about that. We're getting used to it. It's still kind of strange, but she would have usually been meowing in the background somewhere. So this episode is a little different from what we have been doing this season. I know we've been having different guests from the industry and getting their takes on all things wedding. And I thought, well, why don't I be a guest on my own podcast and have Rob do the interviewing? Because there's a few things I need to get off my chest. And we have lots to talk about because we've also had a couple of weddings so far. So take it away, Rob.
All right. And I will say she wrote me out lovely questions to ask herself to make sure that I'm not missing anything.
Okay, sounds good.
You want me to start with the first
That was
one?
so nice of me.
I know, it was. You prepare me so well. What is something that should be included in every vendor contract?
Okay, so I've been talking about this for a while behind the scenes, and the reason that I want to have this on the record and not in a reel, because I feel like it kind of gets lost in the noise of Instagram, is because there's so many opinions out there. But I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, in 10 years of doing this, what is absolutely essential and what I keep seeing people miss in their contracts. So the first thing is travel details. I want to know if you need a night stay, 2-night stay, if you need it pre-approved or if you're okay with the couple booking whatever for you. I need to know if you're going to charge mileage, those kinds of things. I also need to know what you want to eat. If there's dietary requirement, restriction.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, it's the Monday after a wedding weekend, not all there. But yeah, I need to know what you want to eat, restrictions. I need to know if you need to be sitting in the dining room while everyone is also eating. I also need to know if you want to go up at the same time as the couple, or if it's okay if I send you up with the family tables. That kind of stuff doesn't need to be in the contract, but I need to know for sure that you need a meal and what you need. And I think this is really important, but how you expect to be treated, not only by the couple, their friends, their family. And I know I didn't have this clause until the pandemic came around and people were not treating me very nicely. Rob, you saw that firsthand because apparently, according to them, the pandemic was all my fault. So I really think that it's important to have that clause to fall back on, not to be the bad guy necessarily in the situation, but to kind of point to the fact that if people are treating you badly, you don't have to work with them. And the same goes vice versa too. It should be a two-way street when it comes to that. And I also think that deadlines should be communicated clearly in the contract too. That's something that I know that a lot of the new planners that I've been marking assignments for seem to kind of waffle on or don't even include it all. And I think that's really important because catering, the musicians, so many people have deadlines, and as planners, we also need to have deadlines too. And also make it really clear that the couple has responsibilities that they need to fulfill, just like they would with any other vendor. So I think that covers it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I missing anything? Anything that you can think of that I...
No, I think from our discussions on things throughout the wedding season that you usually bring up that you're like, oh, this is missing in this person's contract. That pretty much covers it. Why is capacity over availability so important?
Oh gosh, I was so bad at this when we first started planning weddings, and I felt like the industry kind of set me up for failure in that way because it was hustle culture majorly back when I started in 2015. It was fake it till you make it was like one of the things. Hustle culture was there, and it was like glorified to not be taking breaks. And I still see that aspect of the wedding industry being glorified. And yeah, it's true. I can't necessarily give people, your standard WCB breaks because we're contractors and it's go, go, go. But like I do try to build in that time. And because weddings are so full on, not just on the day, but like in the couple months leading up to it, if it's month of, or like planning for a year and a half, we need to leave some space for rest. And I feel like that is still something that the industry as a whole seems to struggle with. And if you're not taking time to rest, then how are you going to be there and be fully present and be able to give that couple your best? Because I notice when I'm working with vendors later on in the season that have not taken that time to rest, they're not completely on their game. And it makes me wonder if I should work with them again because, it's hard to want to work with somebody who's not taking care of themselves so that they can show up fully for their couples. And I get it. We all need to make money, but if you're hustling that much, maybe you need to start charging more. Just my 2 cents. Nobody shoot me, okay?
Or making sure that schedule in time, rest
Yeah.
between
Yeah,
events,
that's what
that
I
kind of
mean by
stuff. Yeah,
rest.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because like 3 weddings in a row, yeah, I'm like, we're resting for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to be answering emails, but I'm not working a wedding until 3 weeks from now.
Why is pricing transparency something all vendors need to adopt? And maybe explain pricing transparency.
Okay, so pricing transparency is basically having something on your website so people have an idea of what the range is. So they have some sort of idea of like what your starting price is, or say like that your price is between two amounts. Like on my website, you'll see that our starting price for full planning or partial planning is $10,000. And then you'll see that our month of coordination is between $3,000 and $4,500. So people already have an expectation before they reach out that, okay, this is how much this service is going to cost me. And this cuts through all of the noise with couples inquiring that may not be the ones who are ready to spend that much money.
Mhm.
And I think that's really important, first for the vendor, and then second for the couple. I see so many couples complaining online about not knowing how much things cost. And then they have this sticker shock when they get the quote back from the photographer or the officiant or whoever. And like some things, yes, they are very customizable, like flowers, for example, your cake. Those things, it's all going to depend on what you want and how much time it's going to take and how experienced the person is that you're hiring. But as long as we have some sort of expectation of starting cost,
Mhm.
then that really helps both parties involved figure out where they land. And I think that with Gen Z coming through, they're really asking for that transparency up front. They don't want to go through all of this time with vendor consults and all of that, and then be quoted something that they can't afford or don't value spending on that service.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you see about this friend posting about how she was trying to get hair and makeup quotes for her friend who was getting married?
No.
And she said the quote that she got back was outrageous. And I'm kind of leaning towards, yes, it's outrageous, but also I don't know why it's quoted at that much. So that's why I'm like kind of on the fence. But it
Yeah.
was like $25,000 a day for travel to Italy for her and her assistant. And like this is like not including like flights or accommodation or anything. That's just like for the time.
Sorry, 25,000
$25,000
a day?
a day for 3 days.
Wow.
And then the hair and makeup services, I don't know for how many people, because that wasn't mentioned, was 50,000. Then on top of it was like you needed to fly them business class, and like it needed to like they had to have pre-approved hotel accommodation, blah 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 blah. So I don't know what the reasoning was for that, but like those kinds of things I think should be on the website.
Yeah.
So like this person's not getting put on blast on socials, and I'm not putting this person on blast either. I have no idea who this hair and makeup artist is, but like I feel like this would have never happened if there was a little bit of transparency up front.
Yeah, just some pricing explanation, something on their website
Something like an
that showed.
FAQ.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What what are you loving right now in the world of weddings?
Okay, I'm very glad I asked this question or you asked this question for me. I am really happy that vendors are standing in their value and they're charging what they're worth. And I know I just talked about like, this makeup artist and all of that, but like this is the thing. It's like good on this makeup artist for like being like, no, this is what I'm worth. This is what my time is worth. Again, like not knowing fully like what goes into like a $25,000 a day charge for travel. Yeah, people are going to get skeptical. But I think it's really important that we stand in our worth because we are part of one of the most important days of someone's life. They are spending like sometimes what could be considered, a luxury car on their wedding day. And like that's a lot of memories that we are helping shape. And I really think about this because like, we go to Braves all the time. And one of the people working there was saying, it's so cool to see that our son, some of his memories are going to be around coming to Braves and having truffle popcorn and like
Yeah.
hanging out on the patio and that's like really formative. And I feel like even as you get older, you have formative experiences, you have those core memories. I don't think they stop getting created. Yes, things are going to cost a little bit more because we are responsible for a lot when it comes down to it. That's why, like, I always tell people, make sure you're looking not just at the price, but also what value the vendor brings to your day.
Mm.
I'm going to keep going if that's all
Yeah,
right.
no,
Okay. I also really love it that people are spending more time together on the day of the wedding instead of, going like the whole stretch of the day and then like seeing each other at like 5 o'clock. Like, I don't know. I was like, personally speaking, I was so nervous
mm,
on the day of the wedding that I was glad that you were there. And I was only nervous because like, you planned all this stuff on paper
yeah.
and then like you want to see like come to life. And like, I wanted everyone to like still be happy with us for doing a surprise wedding and all of that. Right. So there's all those like jitters. So, like, I feel like the same jitters happen even if you're planning a wedding that's not a surprise wedding.
Mhm.
So, I think it's so nice to see people spending that time together, still doing like first looks and like sometimes you'll see like they get to get ready together and then they'll go like separate and like get dressed and then do the first look. Like that's also really cute too.
Yeah, I
Uh,
get that. I like
yeah.
that I like that as well. I feel like the whole separation before the wedding is such an archaic thing, and I
Mhm.
really appreciate that people are moving away from that, like, you have to spend, the night
Yeah.
before and leading up to the actual ceremony
Mhm.
separate.
Yes, totally. Because, like, it's not bad luck. I feel like it's good luck to see your other beforehand. I also am really happy to see that, like, the industry is moving towards acknowledging that simple and meaningful can also be beautiful
Mhm,
instead of focusing on these, like, elaborate over the top weddings. And, like, if that's what you want to do, that's good too. But I think there's space for both.
mm,
And I feel like historically it's been leaning more over the top. And then it was considered offbeat to do something more simple and like, on a farm or whatever. And it's like, no, no, everything is beautiful in its own way. It shouldn't be like it's not comparing apples to apples. It's comparing apples to oranges, essentially. And I also think it's fantastic that along with that, people are customizing traditions, like existing traditions. Like instead of like, lighting a unity candle, they're like making a peanut butter jam sandwich or like combining like different coffee and like creating a coffee blend or like spice blends and stuff. Like, we just had a wedding, the first wedding of the season where like we incorporated a Jewish tradition of stomping on the glass and the bride wanted to do it with her husband. And I was like, you know what? That's fantastic. You do whatever you want. And like, I think it's beautiful to see like people including their dogs and putting a little bit of themselves into the day. Like it's not, Pinterest perfect or
mhm.
whatever, but like that's what's beautiful. It doesn't need to be 100% perfect. It just needs to be authentic.
Very much so.
Mhm.
I also appreciate that we're moving away from like our parents' traditions of like a wedding has to be this way, and I think a lot of that is coming from the fact that as we move through the generations, those kind of old traditions are being pushed out more and more, and people are making their wedding days much more unique and much more them.
Well, okay, I will say that there are some trends that are cyclical,
Yeah.
like the champagne towers.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
I was telling your mom about that? And she was like, those are really popular when we were getting married. Or like they had like the little bows on their cake.
Yeah.
And those came back last season. Even before that, I think it's still kind of around too with the bows. So it's like
Yeah.
really interesting that like some trends are still coming back. I also want to mention that I'm super on board with tagging all of the vendors involved in a wedding day
Mhm.
because everyone had a part to play. I hate seeing when people only tag like in like the little caption, they only tag like 2 people. And I'm like, but who did the planning? Who did the flowers? Like who did this, and this?
Yeah.
Like give them credit.
Take a minute to just go through and make sure that everybody's being appreciated.
Yes, yes. And planners, if you are doing up a contact sheet, put the vendor tags, like all of like, the Instagram tags on that contact page. Like we're trying to do that as best as we can, but sometimes people don't have them, which is fine, but we try. My last thing, because I feel like I've been stuck on this question for a while, is that it's really nice to see inclusivity in action. I felt like it was like a little bit of a buzzword. Actually, I feel like it sometimes is still a little bit of a buzzword, but
Mhm.
it's really nice to see inclusivity, not just like, making sure that all couples are being represented, but that like we're seeing different skin colors too. Because like, when we were getting married, I don't think there was a lot of people that I saw that looked like me getting married.
Mhm.
And then like there's also like, making sure that people who don't drink alcohol are included. And then like, mobility and accessibility needs. All of those things go into the inclusivity umbrella. One thing I will mention is that with things in the way the world is right now, seems that there are some places that are like kind of on a backslide.
Mhm.
But I think as long as there are people in the world that are, making people think about inclusivity, we will still keep going forward. We're not going to keep going backwards. Well, some people might, but as a whole, you know what I mean.
Well, that leads into my next question, or your next question for you
Yes.
from me. You know what I mean. Any wedding icks?
Okay, I have a few. I'm trying like to be all light and positive here, but like it's hard.
Well, and it's good to show the issues in the wedding industry because I think those need to be talked about as well.
100%. So, my biggest one, I complain about it often, is when people say of coordination. It is not the day. And I hate this inquiry when it comes. I'm sorry. I really do. But like, day of coordination is implying that somebody shows up on the day of the wedding. They know everything that they need to do. They don't have to do any prep and they can just do it. And that's impossible
Impossible.
because there needs to be communication in advance. We do 2 months in advance. We ask, well, actually more than that because we asked for a questionnaire to be filled out. And then we have your first meeting at 2 months. We have your second meeting 2 weeks to 1 month in advance. And then we're at your rehearsal and then we're there on the day. And sometimes we're helping with welcome events and sometimes we're helping with after events. And so there's no such thing as day of coordination. There's no such thing. And I have talked about this in the past, and I really notice with the new wave of planners that are coming into the industry, they are still stuck on day of coordination. Let's call it event management. Let's call it month of coordination. Let's call it something else, please. We are giving people the wrong impression. And like, I also find too that there's a lot of fear mongering on socials. Like, I've noticed that people will like post things like, oh, if you don't do this, then you're not going to have a good day on your time on your wedding. Or if you don't do this thing, then like your guests aren't going to have a good time. Or like if you don't do this, then this is going to happen. And there are like 10 things that I forgot on my wedding day. And it's like things that if you like, don't really care about, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like it's 10 things that were important for that person, but not necessarily for everybody. And then
Mhm.
it like starts people thinking, oh gosh, do I need to do that too? Or am I not going to have a successful wedding day? And I don't like that, especially because like we're still, trying to push people to do whatever they want.
Mm.
Yes.
Make the event theirs,
Mhm.
not anybody else's.
Okay, and now I'm like seeing like a little asterisk in my head because I should say, yes, do whatever you want, but do it within reason. Like, don't break any laws. Yeah. Or like rules at your venue, that kind of thing. And actually, speaking of venues, I'm also not a big fan of like people saying that the venue coordinator will do what I do. There is a fantastic planner out there. I can't remember their name right now, but they are also got certified by the Wedding Planners Institute of Canada. And they have this series of what does the venue coordinator do? What does the wedding planner do? And it's specific to that venue for sure, but it does give you an idea of, what each person is responsible for. And I really like that it's in a way that's accessible and that people can really understand it visually. Like one of the things that people will say is, oh, my venue coordinator will like coordinate the timeline. And it's like, they're busy dealing with everybody that's working at the venue. So that's where your planner comes in. Or like one thing that people are like, oh, my venue coordinator will like set all the tables, like put all my decor down and like do my very specific napkin fold and all of that. And I'm like, they don't have time. Again, they're liaising with all of the people that work at the venue. And like those things are like what your planner does, what your caterer does, sometimes with the napkins, those kinds of things. So I feel like there needs to be a lot more transparency and clarity around that. I'm sensing a theme for this episode. Transparency and clarity. I also touched on this a little bit, but I don't like that people are still glamorizing not taking breaks, not using the washroom, eating in a closet, eating on the floor in the basement. I don't like that. We are not the help people. We are people, just like everybody else at that wedding, and we deserve to be treated as such.
And you
Full
deserve,
stop.
as anybody should.
Exactly. And like, it's not okay to not, use the washroom. That's how UTIs happen, people. Like, come on. Like, not taking breaks. Yes, sometimes like the day is just go, 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 and a break doesn't happen until dinner. But if there is like, a break here and there, like eat something, get off your feet, drink some water, do something to take care of yourself. And yeah, I know sometimes the couples can't put us in the same room as dinner is happening because of capacity limits. But in that case, we should be in a room close by that we can still like check in on the wedding as we need to, and with a chair, please. Not on the floor, on a chair. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I have one more thing. I'm not ranting, I promise.
I know.
I've noticed that there are some vendors who see planners as a hindrance instead of a help. Have you noticed this?
Not as much as you would have. Again, my capacity at weddings is very different than
Okay.
yours.
I have definitely noticed that like there's vendors out there who like maybe don't read my timelines. And then when I tell them that the details are in the timelines, if they want more info, they kind of get snappy with me. And it's like, I've already answered their question, but then I've also referred them to the guidebook for the day. So it's like, I don't understand why the attitude, And like it's just one of those things that like makes me not want to work with that person again, because I'm like, I don't need the attitude. Like I'm just trying to help everybody. And a lot of the times it just comes down to reading the documents. And I'm doing my best, they're doing their best. But if you don't read the documents and ask me every single question that's in the documents, yeah, it's going to cause a little friction.
Yeah, well, it distracts from the things that you need to get done. And I know that you give yourself limited time to be able to do things because you know how long certain things take. So constant interruptions
and being pulled away
and ask questions that are included in the information that you've already sent out. Yeah.
It can be a little grating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can tell that those people who are asking me these questions are annoyed that I am answering their question, but then also referring them to the document. And it's like, yeah, everyone's got to like put in 100%. It can't just be me. No. And if that's the way that it's going to be, like, yeah, I'm going to kind of make a mental note and be like, yeah, maybe I don't work with that person again. Or maybe I know that when this person is on site that I have to schedule more time to be there because I'm going to get pulled away a lot. Okay, that's it. I don't have anything else. I promise.
Are we on to our final question?
Almost final question.
Almost missed one. What are some things that what are some things that you wish couples did, but possibly don't because they aren't working with a professional planner?
Okay. I feel like this is going to be another long-winded answer. I'm sorry. So I feel like a lot of the times when I see people not working with a professional planner, or like people who like have gotten married and they're like, oh gosh, I wish I hired somebody for like just a month of, they said that they felt like they set unrealistic expectations. So like some of the examples are, people had their friends and family help them, or some people had, their friend just who was like really organized and like go-getter be like the planner contact for the day, and they were like, I really should have just hired somebody, because then their friend felt like they couldn't step away and couldn't be a guest. Their friends and family had to either get up really early and set everything up or like stay late to take everything down. And then they also had the stress of having to like think of, oh, okay, what's next and where do I need to be and all of that. And I've had photographers actually say that you can tell when somebody's hired a professional to take care of the coordination of the day compared to when they don't, because they can be fully present and it really shows up in the photos. So I thought that was really interesting. I've also noticed that a lot of people are concerned with trends more than likes and dislikes. Like, the Pantone coloring of the year, like that's just marketing, people. That's not getting you to be on trend. It's just like the color that a bunch of marketing people decided on. Like, I don't know, maybe it's sitting in a warehouse somewhere and they need to get rid of it. Like, who knows? But like, yeah, that's a big one. Or like, doing something just because like everybody else is doing it, because that pressure to fit in, and like, or like, like you said, like the going with the tradition because like that's the way you think things should go, or like that's just the way that everyone's always done it. And yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I feel like if you aren't working with a professional that kind of has that mindset of, no, actually, have you thought about doing it differently? Then you get stuck and end up having all these regrets after your wedding day. I also think that everybody, I mean, couples, vendors, everybody needs to take more time for self-care. If you live in Victoria, or even if you don't, if you're just visiting, Haven is phenomenal.
I've heard it Haven or, yeah.
Oh, did I pronounce it wrong?
I don't know.
Oh, oops. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Havn.
Okay.
We'll just
Well,
spell it out.
all right. Anyways, I think everyone should go there if you like hot tubs, cold plunges, saunas. They even have like a salt scrub room. I'm hooked. Like, I didn't think I was going to like it, but I love it there.
Yeah.
Like the self-care thing shouldn't stop after you get married. It should keep going. Like, go get those facials, go get those massages. Just take care of you.
Also not sponsored by Haven. However it's
Yeah,
pronounced.
but maybe we should, because I've told everyone about that. I also think it's really, really important to not skip that hair and makeup trial. Yeah. Like, I tell all of our couples that if you can do your hair and makeup trial at the same time that you're doing your engagement photos, then you can see how it wears and how it feels and how it looks in photos. And I mean, this goes for everybody, like whatever you identify as. If you want to get hair and makeup done, or even if you don't, like, know if you want to get hair and makeup done on the wedding day, get it done for your engagement shoot and see if you would like it. Like, we have 2 grooms getting married in August, and we're doing like a full like glam squad Vogue style getting ready moment for them. And like there's gonna be like little like trims and like massages and like facials, and like everyone is gonna get to be made to feel special, not just the girls. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody deserves a little, freshen up and.
Yeah. And like, and I know, like, I sometimes talk to our couples and I say, hey, like, does the groom or however they want to identify want to get something done on their wedding day? And there's like a small, like, little take back moment of like, wait, that's an option? And yes, it's an option. And I want everyone to know it. Hair and makeup is not just for the girls. It is for everyone. And then the last thing I think is just not looking at full galleries before hiring a photographer. Yeah. And I don't know, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong again. Sepia bride, that whole thing from last year where she hired a photographer that does golden tones. And then she got her photos back and was not happy with them and went on this, I don't know, 30 video
Rant.
And it's like, okay, like it really sucks to get photos back that you're not happy with, but you do also need to do your due diligence. So like getting the full galleries, doing the engagement shoot, like, all of the things that happen before the big day, those are really, really important. And
research.
And I feel like that would have, helped mitigate all that heartache for the photographer, for the couple. Unfortunately, they are divorced now. That, some things can't be prevented, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Any last thoughts?
So I feel like I've said a lot of things today, but I want to sum it up with remembering the why. And this goes with like a little bit of a caveat. So the why is not just for the couples, but it's also for the vendors. That's my caveat. So the why for the couples is, taking a look at the traditions or taking a look at like something that maybe you like doing in your lives together or separately and incorporating into the day and remembering why you're incorporating into the day and why you're throwing this party, why you're having the ceremony, all of that. Because when you get into that and you get into like your top 3 priorities, that is when the magic happens. You're not having all these squabbles over like little things like the napkin colors or inviting whoever to the wedding because you've gotten really clear on your priorities. And then when it comes to the vendors, I want to get vendors to think about their why too, because it's really easy to just go through the motions and go through the flow and get caught up in the day to day. I know that like there's like a lot of people who will say to me, oh, well, I want to do luxury weddings. And it's like, okay, but why do you want to do those luxury weddings? Like, what part of you is going to be fulfilled by doing that? Maybe there's a different market that you fit in better. I feel like I need to make a music industry reference right now. Chapel Roan, I think I'm saying her name right, used to be doing what everybody else did, right? And then she really niched down, and now all of a sudden she's become mainstream. And I think it's because she really stood in the power of her why. And that is how she ended up being so popular now, because she figured out who she was at the root of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, I get it. People are always going to say that like luxury weddings are where the money is. But there's also other ways to fill your cup and be able to afford life. So definitely something to think about on both sides, vendors and couples.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything to add on your side?
No, I think you nailed it. Yeah. That's definitely one of the things that I like that you do is you talk to your couples and make the day about them and make sure that they're including things that they really care about.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it for us because I got to go get my nails done and hopefully my nail tech isn't too displeased with me because these nails do not look good. We will see you here next week with another guest, not me, and a great conversation. Until next time, stay rad.